Hey guys, this week we are going to talk about anti-bucket list for Vegas, tip pooling and dealers, and so much more, so stick around. This episode is sponsored by DraftKings. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Promo code CRAPVEGAS. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football.
Welcome to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Vegas, here we come.
Vegas!
Here are your hosts, Chris and Josh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 66 of the Crap Vegas podcast. I am Chris. He's Josh. Josh, 3 episodes from now is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to get Vital Vegas on for that one, Chris. Special
no,
guest.
I think we'll pass. No, that's okay. We're good. Josh, what's going on, though? Anything exciting out in the Seattle world?
Well, not too much exciting here. Really, it's the countdown to Zorkfest. I think it's 9 days or something. A few people that are going are texting me every day, and they're, of course, getting there a day before I am, so I'm a little bitter
Jealous.
about that. I'm going to have to take like 2 pair of shoes.
Oh, wow.
I
That's a
know.
lot for you.
It's
You're
a
gonna
hard
have some
life.
dress shoes this time, huh?
I am going to have to take dress shoes. Yeah,
Are you going to bring a sport coat with you?
Well, that's the question. Is we are having that first dinner at Sinatra, so there's a dress up opportunity there.
Okay, so I would definitely say yes then.
Well, yeah, I got sport coat issues though. I'm sizing is a little trouble for sport coat right now. So
No, I completely understand that, Josh. I think I've settled into kind of like my Steve Jobs era now.
Okay.
Like I find myself wanting to wear just like solid white t-shirts with a sport coat. You know, if I could do a turtleneck, I would, but I'm not big on turtlenecks. But like I'm becoming that person as I'm getting older. My taste in clothing is maturing.
Is that what that is?
Although I can't wait to send you the outfit that my daughter picked out for me for our Eras Tour concert next Saturday, which I cannot wait. Taylor Swift in Indianapolis with my 2 girls and one of their friends is coming with us. It's going to be a ton of fun, but she has picked me out a very, as she would say, a very demure outfit.
You're going to have to show at least me a picture of that. Yes.
I'll send you a picture of it. Yeah, how's that?
I may put it on the Facebook group. We'll see.
I don't know about that. But
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be a lot of
you're
fun.
seeing Taylor Swift. I'll be at Zorkfest, so we're both going to be doing all sorts of fun stuff.
Ironically, I think we'll be jealous of each other, what they're doing. Like, I feel like you probably love to be at Taylor Swift with your daughter because it's a super fun time.
Right.
And I would love to be out there seeing all the gambling stuff going on too. So
That's true. Yeah,
we can
true.
live vicariously through each other at that section. So with all that said, Josh, let's tell people how to get a hold of us. Okay, you can reach us via email. That is podcast@crapvegas.com. You can join our Facebook group. That's crapvegas.com/Facebook. Josh, I don't know how many members we're up to, but I feel like I get about 30 emails a day saying there's a new post on the Facebook group.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
a
new
couple
post.
thousand, Chris. I just saw that.
And-
It's
and
growing
I-
like crazy.
Every single time I forget to actually log in and see what's going on. I try to stop by once a week. That's usually my goal. To be fair though, Josh, I don't use Facebook, period.
No.
Like I have, for personal reasons, I just never get on there to actually see what's going on. I'll get on Instagram occasionally because my kids want me to. But yeah, I don't know. I try to stay away from as much social media as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Facebook group just really for our group as much as I can be, and I'm still on Twitter, which you'll mention, but that's really kind of it for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, well, you can always leave us a voicemail. That's crapvegas.com/voicemail. Or as Josh said, the easiest way is always going to be on Twitter.
X.
He's at Vegas Duffy. I'm at Small Whale 13, or the show page is at Crap Vegas. And Josh, before we transition over into some previous episode feedback, what are your thoughts about Twitter getting rid of the ability to block people?
Well, I think you can still block them, but they can see your blocked content, right? Is that the idea? They can still see
Yeah, they
you?
can't react to it. They can't respond. They can't do any of that, but they still see it. So in my eyes, that's not a block. And by the way, I just think this is a really bad idea. Like pretty much everything that's happened on Twitter feels like a bad idea recently. But at the same time, like just beyond people that annoy you, like for like safety things and just being able to block people and keep them away from your content or information, it doesn't seem like a great idea.
Did you hear why they're doing it? I don't know. I hadn't heard why they're doing it. What the rationale is. Like, I understand that. I actually like the decision to allow you to like posts anonymously. So you can't see who liked a post. That's a change that I actually kind of...
I'm okay with that. I mean, I understand the point. There's people that are afraid to like something because of the response they may get for liking that post, and I get that. This one, I don't see any rationale where it sounds like a good idea.
Maybe there's
Okay.
something we're missing.
Maybe there is. Okay, Josh. Okay, previous episode feedback. We received an email from Thomas. Thomas said, I am so glad Chris made it back to Wynn. It's a place I've always wanted to stay at, but never had the opportunity. Couple questions that you may have answered before about the place, but here goes. Question 1. What is the biggest difference from a place like Wynn versus even a top-tier alternative at an MGM property like Bellagio?
That's a great question, Thomas. For me, it's the employees. I think you can get a nice room at a lot of these places. I mean, Bellagio, I think Wynn's rooms are the nicest. They're base rooms, but I think you can get nice rooms everywhere. I think you get nice meals. I think, all those kind of things. I think it's the employees, whether they're dealers or the staff at the coffee bars or, they have a welcome person in the Tower Suites area. I've mentioned her before. I think her name is Mary, but it's been a while, but who's been there since the company started, since Wynn opened. And she remembers guests and all that kind of stuff. It's the employees. And I think they really pick out good ones and then train them to care. And that comes through.
Yeah. And Josh, I don't know if these are two separate things in your eyes or not, but my quick response was going to be service. I think the service level that you get at Wynn is unmatched at any other property in Vegas. And that includes staying at like Aria Sky Suites and stuff. I mean, we've done the top of the top. Wynn service level is just well beyond everybody else. It's not even close, but you are right. Half of that service is the people that's providing the service, and they're special. They really are special people.
It is amazing how many employees at Wynn, and I get the difference in size from like a place like Aria or Bellagio. It is a smaller property, but the number of employees that remember you even after a second visit,
yes,
that kind of thing is amazing. They really train their people to recognize guests, and that kind of thing makes a difference.
Absolutely. Question 2 he had, Josh. What is your favorite place to grab a quick snack at Wynn?
For me, it's probably Charlie's. I love going to the not just dining at Charlie's, but if you want to take food back to your room or wherever, going to the sports bar area part where they have the video poker machines and ordering a to-go food, and it's usually pretty quick and do that. How about you?
That is a good response. And next time we go, we really should hit up the bar top there with a video poker, get a snack.
We haven't
I think
done
that'd be
that.
a lot of fun. We haven't done that. That would be a lot of fun. I said Cafe El Teatro, now that they redid it and kind of reopened it. It's a great place to grab a coffee, a dessert, just something light to keep you going throughout the day. But I think this is going to come up again in just a second on his third question, Josh, where he asked, what would you say Wynn's 3 greatest weaknesses are?
Well, I think we've talked about it before. It's casual dining. Other than Charlie's or Cafe El Teatro, that's kind of it. And neither of those are super casual. I mean, I guess Charlie's is, but they don't even count in my book as super casual. Other weaknesses, I think their table limits can be high, especially in the evenings and on weekends. That can get people. What do you have, Chris, while I think of a third thing?
The couple other things, I definitely say casual dining. I'm right there with you. They have horrible casual dining. I mean, don't get me wrong. Charlie's is absolutely fantastic, but there is no variety. You don't have 4 places you can go to grab a quick snack. It's not like when you're at Venetian and you have a food court downstairs and you have all sorts of casual dining everywhere you turn. It's nothing like that. The other things I thought of, Josh, I think comps and overall player expectations by the property itself, it's not great. I wouldn't say that their comp system really rewards gamblers for the action that they give. They want a lot to get a little bit back compared to other properties. So I think that works against them a little bit. And I also said entertainment. They do have a lot of acts come through their comedy specials, singers doing 1 or 2 night shows here and there. But, the only daily show that they have is Awakening, which is terrible. Probably the worst in Vegas in my eyes.
It may come up again.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably will at some point. But, when you don't have other things than that to really offer people other than super high-priced experiences, it's not a strength in my eyes for them. I did also consider location. I mean, they are Northern Strip, and it's a decent walk to get from there, down the Strip to other properties you probably want to head to. And I definitely wouldn't go north from there. So I consider that a potential weakness as well.
I think the third one for me, just kind of dovetailing a little bit off of what you said, is just overall, if you're looking for anything reasonably priced or budget, you're just not going to find it at Wynn. No. Whether it's food, whether it's shows, whether it's golf, whether it's, anything like that. And that's a plus to some people. But if you're if you're gambling on any sort of limited budget or any, I mean, you can't even go into the shops in the plaza or anything. You know, I mean, a
No.
tie is $350. It's, you know, so I think that's the biggest weakness, if that is a weakness, but that's one thing.
I agree. So great questions, Thomas. Hope that helped out a little bit. Moving on, next, Josh, we have an email from Janelle. Janelle said, loved hearing about the change in your guys' slot play. I switched a long time ago and have never looked back. You get so much more from the casino than you ever will as a table games player. Do either of you see the majority of your gambling budget going to slots, or will it always be craps first? Keep up the great work, Janelle.
Well, thanks, Janelle. If it weren't for this show, the answer might be different.
Okay.
But because we're Crap Vegas, I feel like I have to at least continue to play craps 50% of the time, or maybe 51% of the time, so we can still be Crap Vegas. But no, that's just a little lighthearted. I don't want my whole play to be slots. I'm enjoying slots and playing a little bit more and that kind of thing, but I still love craps. I love the atmosphere of craps. I love the fact that it's a better house edge in theory. All those things. No, you don't get the comps. You don't get the recognition that you get as a slot player, or the benefits that come with that. I hope that I don't become a completely slot-driven player. I kind of like the 50-50 balance. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, it's a hard one, Josh. I don't see myself ever being a majority slot player. I mean, even after this last trip where it was a good amount of my money,
Right.
If craps is going well, I'll never step away from a craps table, period. I mean, I will spend 99% of my gambling budget at that craps table and be extremely happy doing it. Slots is just kind of a time killer for me, but in this last trip, it was more just an opportunity to give myself a chance to make my money do something for me. But no, I don't want slots to be heavy on my gambling budget. I'd prefer if it would shrink a little bit. And, you know, Josh, I always say that there's something different about playing table games out in Vegas. Like, I can go play craps in my local casino and have a great time, but it's not the same as going to Vegas. And it's why I've taken so many just one-day Vegas trips to go out there. Slots, I think that's a little different. Like, I can play those exact slots here with no interaction with dealers, so you don't have to worry about, like, is this dealer better than this one or whatever.
Right.
It's just, I can play those games anywhere. They have Huff and Puff here, and I can play them all I want to. But I think there's something different about craps, and it will always be my predominant game. And I hope slots does not overtake craps at any point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that's a really good point. Like, the craps experience in Las Vegas is different from the experience at a local property. Even a locals property in Vegas, the craps experience on the Strip is different than what you get, at a locals point. And that's one of the things that makes it a lot of fun.
Next email, Josh, we got from dealer Rick. I cut it down a little bit, but Rick said, so guys, no, I'll never be on Roll to Win. My level of expertise is in customer relations. I call bullshit on that one. He said, with that being said, my personality would be best on regular craps. That I do 100% agree with. Sticking you on Roll to Win, Rick, would not be a good idea. And I would feel very sorry for all the players at your little table.
I so want to see it, though. Rick, just as the sole stick person on a Roll to Win table with some newbie players and maybe a couple drunks. We'd have to become vloggers at that and get Rick on video.
I know, it would be interesting. And I told you, Josh, unfortunately, last trip I was out there, he is off on Sunday, Mondays. And of course, that's when I was playing in the morning. And so I missed him, and I hate that. So I told Josh, no more Saturday to Monday trips. I now have to go back to my normal Friday to Saturday or Friday to Sunday to make it work.
There we go.
We received a blast from the past email, Josh, an email from Troller Boy.
Oh, isn't that TB?
Absolutely, Josh. Yeah, TV. So he said, hey, Chris and Josh, it's your old pal Troller Boy. He's here in Vegas and saw for the first time ever a new Huff and Puff release called Huff and Puff High Rise, which, Josh, I think that's the one that I was talking about on my last trip.
That was Mansions, isn't it? That was Huff and Puff Mansions.
Okay. Well, I don't.
What's High Rise? We should look it up. We should have done that before the show.
I bet you the High Rise, Josh, is the one that has
the
only
wheels?
the 3 reels.
Reels
that I played. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. Anyways, third installment in the Huff and Puff franchise. He said it looks like a lot of fun. He saw some bonus rounds. He really liked it. He'll let us know what he thinks. And he just thanked us for our podcast and said your favorite known controlled shooter, TB. Josh, it reminds me of when we first started the show. We had forums that I spent a ton of time building on our website.
Was so proud of those.
They were really good. I put a lot of time getting them together, and then they just got infiltrated by Russian bots nonstop.
Yeah, if you go back and listen to the first, whatever it is, 10 episodes of the show, it was always us talking about the forums. And Chris, before we even launched the show, had them built. And
I
was
did.
really proud of them, and we were getting people signed up and questions, and then they got hacked, and
Yeah, and there was no greater poster than Troller Boy at that point.
no, and that was the birth of the Facebook group.
What can I say? Just a blast from the past, like I said. Okay, Josh, we got a DM from Boring Jack, one of everybody's favorite people. He said, hey guys, I just thought I'd weigh in on the pool tips versus go for your own topic that you guys brought up on Patreon last week. And Josh, yeah, just to recap everybody and bring them into the loop, Josh had mentioned that some of the downtown properties were starting to switch over to be
Four Queens and Binions specifically.
Yeah, there you go. Keep your own properties versus pooling the tips across all the dealers on a shift. And he mentioned a couple things, positive and negative, but here's what Jack had to say. I used to think I was a big proponent of go for your own, especially with my background in live poker where dealers generally get to keep their own tips, and wondered why more casinos don't do what Binions and Four Queens are doing. In short, it seems like go for your own is a logistical nightmare, and rather than give dealers more control over their take-home tips, they actually get less control. You end up with a lot more politics about days, shifts, tables, etc. You get to work. You also get dealers not so covertly trying to poach Georges to come play at their table, or even dealers outright fighting over players. It generally seems to breed an animosity between dealers and the higher-ups who make the schedule and breed animosity between dealers themselves. And then there's the fact that the best shifts for tips would be swing shifts and weekend shifts, but the best shifts for dealers with more seniority or family, whatever, would be weekday shifts and day shifts. Other factors like a dealer's own age and sex that are outside a dealer's control but could heavily impact their tip take-home. Most of the arguments above I overheard from a craps or pit boss, explaining to different players at the table why no strip casinos would go for their own, and it really opened my eyes. So thank you for those thoughts, Jack. And Josh, what do you think about some of the things he points out about shifts and players and fighting and all that?
Well, Jack, I think those are really good points. And something when we talked about it, we just talked about it for a little bit on the last Patreon show. And my thought was, you know, it might work in a place like Four Queens or Binions, but I don't think it would work at a big joint on the strip just because you'd have those whale players kind of separate from everybody else, and who would be the dealers for the whale players and so on. But I mean, Jack makes that point, but in much more detail. I think those are fantastic points and probably exactly why it wouldn't work. I mean, I can see all the politics and I can see all the games with shifts and tables and all that kind of stuff would just be kind of a nightmare in a big strip casino. I can see that being, I mean, I remember, Chris, I don't know if I was a pizza delivery guy, and you knew really quickly what houses were good tippers.
Sure, I'm sure you do.
And the pizzas were supposed to go out and, first in, first out, driver that comes back and that kind of thing. But you would try and maneuver all sorts of ways so you would get in the queue to get to go to the house that tipped $5 instead of none, or, that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's just a little teeny bit of a snippet I have of what that world might be like if a big property shared tips in Vegas.
Gosh, can you imagine if a place like Wynn did that? You could have some dealers making millions and millions of dollars a year off getting, some of their big players coming to their tables.
And then dealers like Rick, who would just piss off everybody, would get nothing.
And then the lowly dealers like Rick and Jay that are just, terrible, and they put them on the main floor and don't let them really interact with people.
Just
mostly
on roll to
win. I mean, just roll to win tables, and they would make $0. So, I mean, yeah, that wouldn't be good. I get why a place downtown would do this because it's really hard for them to get quality dealers in general. And so maybe throwing this out there gives a young go-getter that's really trying to break in and make a name for themselves. It gives them a chance to come in and make some money. But yeah, I don't see it ever working at a larger property. That would be a mess.
I don't either. Those are great observations, Jack. So thanks for shooting those over.
Josh, do you think at your current age right now, who you are, if you got thrown into a casino tomorrow as a dealer and you got to keep your own, do you think you would do okay?
I think I would do okay. I think I'm personable enough and smiley and, all that kind of stuff that I think I'd do okay. But I also think as I've gotten older, I've gotten lazier. So I think I'd rather be at a pool place just so some days if I want to kick back and not do anything, I'll still get tips.
No, I understand.
How about
you? I'm thinking of some of the dealers we were just talking about at Wynn where it might be like, okay, can I get a $30 six? All right. Yeah, that would be interesting. But I don't think I'd do very well, Josh. I mean, I'm a realist. And if you have a choice when you're walking up to, say, a blackjack table between a 25-year-old pretty young
to Jack's
female
point, yes.
or me, then I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to choose. So no, I don't think that would be very successful for me. And I can completely understand how that would be very bad for older dealers, especially at a main place. But okay, but thank you for the question, Jack, and the feedback. We do appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, Josh, this episode, we threw this out on social media asking our listeners, what are the things that you have done in Vegas that you will never do again? I'm calling it the anti-bucket list. We did get some great responses back, so I thought it'd be fun to share some of those and maybe a couple of our own if we have any.
Yeah, we put it on Twitter and on the Facebook group, so we got responses from all sorts of people. And Chris, I do have a question, though. So is this something for anti-bucket list, like we've done it, we would absolutely never do it again, or kind of, in the right circumstances might, like, kind of define it a little bit?
In my eyes, Josh, I'm thinking it's something that you've done once that you would never do again.
Once was enough.
Yeah, once was probably too many, but you did do it once.
All right.
And it's enough, and I don't want to do it again.
I like it.
So let's start off, Josh, some feedback. First from listener Craig. Walk from the Strat to downtown at night on New Year's Eve. He said his first trip to Vegas was in 98. He had the great idea of walking from the Strat to downtown Las Vegas, thinking it wasn't too far.
Everything's so close.
Everything's so close, yeah. Nothing happened to him on the walk to downtown, but knowing now that part of town isn't the safest to be in the day or night, he would never do it again. And we got a lot of responses like this, Josh, talking about walking from one place to another, people walking from Caesars to Rio, or walking to the Pawn Stars shop and stuff like that. Just places like that. Have you had experiences of that nature?
Well, the one I was going to mention, Chris, when we were talking about walking, was I walked from Venetian Palazzo to the Gold and Silver Pawn, to the Pawn Stars shop.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And I remember this is back in, when they were, I think it was when Pawn Stars was first launching and first kind of taking off. It was actually so much so that I got to see the actual Pawn Stars gang, Old Man and everything filming when they still filmed in the actual pawn shop. And this was so much back before they really hit it that they still had like skill saws and DVDs in there. It wasn't all touristed up yet and all that stuff. So it was really a pawn shop. But I remember thinking, I was with my buddy, what made us decide to do that walk? Like we got to Sahara and we realized we still have a really long way to go. That walk was not fun.
Do you think that's the longest walk you've ever taken in Vegas?
I'd be curious to see that walk that I took to the stadium for the Super Bowl.
That is true. We talked about that before.
50 million. I didn't even put that on my list, but that's one I think I might never do again, is walk from mid-strip to Allegiant Stadium either.
It felt like a bad walk for us just trying to get out of the stadium to a taxi,
right?
Let alone coming back to mid-strip. I can tell you, Josh, we did get a message from Joyce, our listener, saying they once walked from Mandalay Bay to Sahara in August.
Oh,
can you imagine? God, that would be miserable.
That's just awful. Joyce, I'm surprised you guys made it. You lived.
You responded to it, so you're still here.
Well, that's the thing about Vegas, that, not only are things further apart because all the buildings are big and all that stuff, but most of the time it's 100 degrees out.
Yeah, exactly.
I get why that's an anti-bucket list for a lot of people.
Absolutely. On a slightly different vein, we got a handful of messages from people like Joseph and Jordan talking about weddings and marriages. Joseph said getting married at the Venetian. Jordan said trying to get his friends married after midnight. What are your thoughts on Vegas marriages, Josh?
I think when you've done one, whether you've gotten married in Vegas or been to a wedding in Vegas, once is probably enough. I don't think I've been to a Vegas wedding. I remember being invited to one, but I don't think I've been to a Vegas wedding. My wife and I actually looked at doing a wedding in Vegas, a nice one at Venetian or something like that. And we decided we could spend just as much money at home and be, it was effectively the same price. So we didn't do our wedding there. Yeah, I think once you've done one, it's probably enough.
Yeah, I don't have any desire to get married in Vegas or remarried in Vegas. I would kind of push my kids away from doing it. I'm not huge on destination weddings in general. I think they're inconvenient for a lot of the guests, and you're asking a lot to get people to come to a different city for your wedding. So I'm not huge on it, but there's definitely some benefits. The after parties are going to be great.
I'll tell you one thing. I am supportive of bachelor and bachelorette parties in Vegas.
That's a different story. Yeah. You can do that. And
you should do as many of those as you can. That should be on your bucket list.
If any of our listeners are having a bachelor party in Vegas, let Josh and I know.
I mean, or a bachelorette party. We could go.
I mean, if you want us to come to that too, we will
Don't
be there
We're
for
not
you.
going to
No
be
problem at all.
choosy, right?
Okay, Josh, slightly different area. Listener Roger said on his first trip while walking on Fremont, he got roped into a timeshare presentation. They took him to the jockey club for it. It took nearly 4 hours. They did get free tickets to Absinthe out of it. So that's positive at least. So this wasn't too long ago if he got to see Absinthe based off of it. What about you, Josh? Have you ever had a timeshare presentation experience?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you even know this, Chris. I was with my wife. I think we were probably newly married, and may have been a trip we stayed at Excalibur, and we got approached by a timeshare person. Of course, they do their hard sell, and first it was show tickets, and I said no, and then it finally came out to like $100 cash each.
Okay.
We got cash, and we were guaranteed we only had to go wherever we had to go for 90 minutes. Of course, that turned out to be a lie. It was 3
Definitely
hours.
was not 90 minutes, yeah.
And I remember we stayed about 3 hours, and finally we said, we're leaving. You told us 90 minutes. Give us our money. But we came so close, Chris, to actually getting a timeshare. I mean, the sales pitch almost worked. And we considered
there's a sucker born every minute, Josh.
Right. I mean, we considered ourselves to be fairly sophisticated about all these things. And yet there those hard sales pitches and all the stuff that makes it sound good.
I mean, there's a reason they'll
They know
spend
what
all
they're
that
doing,
money
right.
and time to get you in front of them because
Right.
they know they will close every once in a while.
Yeah. And they came close to us. If we hadn't realized that the interest rate was, whatever it was, 17% or something on the loan that we had to take through them or whatever
Yeah.
it was. But no, I agree. That is something that is on my anti-bucket list for sure. I've done it once. I'll never do it again.
I've thankfully never done it, but I will say, Josh, I think the worst place in Vegas for this is the Miracle Mile shops. Right outside the theaters on both sides, they camp right when you're coming in the main doors and hit you up as soon as you come in. They grab people nonstop that don't know because they're an information desk allegedly when they're not. There's nothing that stopped me from getting more cookies out in the Miracle Mile shops when they used to have that Toll House shop
I love
than
that.
those people.
So, Chris, this is a little bit of sidetrack, but a criticism I heard, I don't remember what show it was recently, but of Venetian Palazzo, and a reason that Venetian Palazzo would never be on the level as Wynn, on the same level as Wynn, is because VP has timeshare people,
Okay.
and you'll never see that at Wynn. And I think that is a difference. Like if you look at like the exclusivity or stars or whatever of a property, I mean, having timeshare people on premises brings it down to me.
Have they ever approached you at VP before?
No, but they are there. I've seen their booths and things.
Okay. I guess I'd never even noticed it until you said it right now. Like I remember seeing them at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
Back by the Coliseum entrance
Yeah.
area.
They're
You
at
see them back
VP
there
too.
a lot in the food court.
Right.
I guess I just never noticed them at VP.
But no, they haven't approached me either, and which is good. But not having them does put Wynn a little above them in my eyes.
Okay. Here's some other ones, Josh. A lot of these came from Twitter from listener Nick. Nick said, staying off the strip. He said, we can and have debated the merits all day long, but never again will I stay anywhere but the strip.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I would still stay off strip in the right place. I mean, Chris and I have talked about staying at Red Rock before, and I've stayed at Rio. I don't particularly want to stay at Rio again, but there were places I would stay off strip. Green Valley Ranch, that number 16 seed in our Las Vegas Property Bracket Challenge.
Stay tuned for the final
That's
result.
right. Plug for the Las Vegas Property Bracket Challenge, Crap Vegas Property Bracket Challenge, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I could see myself staying there. So that one's not anti-bucket list for me.
I'm kind of right there with him, Josh. I have no reason to get off the strip at this point. I like it. I'm happy there. And that's where I want to be. So I'd probably put that on my list. I'm good with him. Good one,
All
Nick.
right.
I like you. Next one from Jeff. A daily poker tournament, something I have done many times. And I haven't really thought about doing one again. But what do you think, Josh?
Well, I do it when I go down with my buddies. I don't wonder why it would be an anti-bucket list thing. Why once was enough.
I think the problem is they just eat so much
That's the
time
thing.
out of your
Right.
day. I mean, because a poker tournament, depending on the size of it, could last
Yeah,
1
to
6,
5
7
hours. Right.
hours.
Yeah.
And if it's like a $60 buy-in, I mean, what are you really winning? Like $1,500 or
Not
$2,000
even
bucks?
probably. Yeah.
I mean, if that on a really big tournament that ate half your day, I can understand that.
I understand it. I mean, for me, I guess it all, and when I do it with my buddies, it's, we know we want to kill 3 or 4 hours. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes, I
we're
got you.
going into it with open eyes to how long a time commitment this might be, but that's because we're just chilling in the middle of a day and wanting to kill some time, kind of that kind of thing. So I guess I get it.
Okay. Some of our listeners, Josh, said for their anti-bucket list, they listed specifically a couple properties that they've stayed at but never will stay again. And the 2 most common ones that I saw, ironically, were MGM Grand and Cromwell.
Well, it's been forever since I've stayed at MGM Grand. I don't see a reason I wouldn't stay there again in the right situation. And Cromwell, I haven't stayed. I would. So yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Any
MGM
properties
Grand,
you wouldn't stay at that you've stayed?
I mean, I wouldn't stay at
Like-
MGM Grand again. There's
Okay.
nothing redeeming about that property. It's way too big. It's just, there's nothing special about it. Like, I'd rather stay at Excalibur than MGM Grand if that's the options you're giving me.
I mean, you know, I guess the Circus Manor Motor Lodge would be on my anti-bucket list.
Well, there you
For
go.
sure.
Let's just agree. There's no reason to step foot in Circus unless you're going to the steakhouse.
Yes, I can agree with that. Well, I will put a little caveat out there. The Adventure Dome. If you're with a kid,
No,
you want to go
no.
to the Adventure Dome. It's fun for kids, Chris.
Josh, that needs to be on your anti-bucket list. No kids in Vegas. You can bring them one
It's
time.
not on
and
my
done.
anti-bucket
Get them out of
list.
there. Okay, listener Zach said the Heart Attack Grill. Have you ever been there?
Nope. You?
I have not. I don't like the idea of the property encouraging people to be horribly unhealthy. As somebody that has
I guess
lost some
that's a good
weight
point.
and used to be healthier, I really can't support what they're promoting. And it does kind of feel a little grimy looking back at it now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. To each their own.
Okay. I'm sure the food's not even that good. I mean,
Well, yeah, I would think
when
that's
it's
probably
quantity over quality, it's usually not going to be. So,
right.
last sort of things, Josh, listener Sudley Dudley, great name, said a red eye without a room. And I'll take this another direction. How about going to Vegas for a single day without a room to fly back out at the end of the night? Because I have done that and I have thoughts on it.
Yeah, I've never done that. That's not on my anti-bucket list. I mean, I would probably do it in the right circumstance. I know when I used to work for the airline, people did that all the time. Fly down
sure.
first thing in the morning and fly back at the end of the night, including married people who didn't tell their spouses that they weren't working. They would just fly to Vegas during the day.
To be clear, I have asked Josh multiple times that I have been in Vegas, especially on a weekday. Hey, Josh, why don't you just fly down to
right.
Vegas with me in the morning on the first flight out? Get there at like 6 a.m. We'll play all morning. You leave at noon. You'll be back home before your workday is anywhere near done, and nobody will ever know. And you absolutely
Except for
could,
the
but you still
podcast.
haven't for me.
No, I never have. That just doesn't seem like fun to me.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Imagine if you could meet me at Wynn at 6 a.m. on the tables.
I couldn't
Tower
be there
Suites
that
bar,
early.
we could- okay,
There's no 4
7
a.m.
a.m.
flight. Okay.
I bet you there's a 5 a.m. flight.
I think there's 6.
I'll grab your coffee for you at Tower Suites Bar. We'll meet on the tables at Wynn. Liz and Rick will be there. Jay will be on the table with us. We'll play for like 4 or 5 hours, grab lunch at Charlie's, and I'll have you home before the workday's over.
But see, if we lost like $10,000, I'd be so mad that I went to Vegas for
No,
the day.
you'd be happy because you had an amazing experience with me.
All right, there we go. So does that mean it's on our anti-bucket list or not anti-bucket
Yeah,
list?
for me,
I've
I'm
gotten
not putting that on the
confused.
list. I
All right.
encourage that sort of thing. I think that's terrific. The last one we had, Josh, it's from Aggie Warrior. He said, number 1, gamble and drink for 18 hours with no hotel room and no luggage. And number 2, trying to get through airport security at 5 a.m. following number 1.
Those are good anti-bucket list things. I haven't done either one of those.
I can't imagine going to Vegas with nothing. No bag, no nothing. Like, I can understand.
That
And
takes some guts.
I've considered before flying to Vegas without a room, playing, and just flying home that
Right.
evening.
I'm surprised you haven't
considered
done
it.
that.
You know, now that you say it, maybe I should consider it again. That being said, I don't think even I could do that without luggage. Like, I'd have to bring a backpack with a change of clothes, just, toiletries, stuff like that.
You got to have backup
Ju-
underwear just in case.
so, I mean, if nothing else, because you can always, if you want privacy, you can always go to like a high limit bathroom.
Right.
It's just you. Shut the door, lock it,
Hang out
and
in there for a while.
clean up and use the sink as a shower and mouthwash and brush your teeth or whatever it is that you want to do. Change clothes. You could do all those things, but I couldn't do it without a bag.
No, that doesn't sound like fun to me.
Josh, anything else you want to add to this list?
So, Chris, I thought of a couple other things. Some of them kind of touch on. I mentioned the walk in a gold and silver pond. I one time had, I think I've talked about it either on this show or on the CVP shows, but I've had a time where I had 2 of those big blue drinks down on Fremont Street.
Okay.
That led to bad things. I
can
never want to
understand.
have 2 of those drinks again.
Okay.
One is okay. Now, if you get one in me, I might take this off my anti-bucket list and then
It will change quickly.
change quickly. Let's see. What else is I? Oh, I remember. Remember that time I walked to the bank? Kind of another walking story. I wanted to punish myself by making myself walk
I
to the
remember.
bank. That's an anti-bucket list thing. Never do that again. My motives were still solid, but I wouldn't want to do that again. Seeing Awakening.
Yeah.
That's
and
on my
unfortunately, we've
anti-bucket
done it
list.
twice. So
Right.
I mean, we didn't add it to the
I
list.
guess that's
quick
not
enough.
a right. It's not a 1. It doesn't quite fit because we've done it twice, but there was a 1 and 1.0 or whatever it was, 1
Sure.
and 2. The only other one I can think of that hasn't come up yet is 3-card Monty on the strip.
Okay. I wouldn't encourage that either.
I did that once, lost $100. Never doing that again. That's on my anti-bucket list. How about you?
Number 1, Josh, go to the Green Door. That is a place that you only need to go one time. You can see everything that you need to see and then some, and never have a desire to go back again. So I will never do that. If you don't know what the Green Door is, just Google it. I'm not going to say
Or
anything more
don't.
about it. Or don't. I probably encourage you not to. That would be a
At
smarter
least
choice.
not at work.
And yeah, definitely not at work. And number 2, Josh, the Vegas sign. Been to it.
Oh,
done that,
yeah.
have no desire to do that again. It's ridiculous. People trying to get you to pay them to take your photo and people waiting in line, which you don't even have to wait in line. It's just, yeah, no, I'm done with that. I don't need to do any of those things.
I actually thought of that too and then didn't mention it. But yeah, the Welcome to Vegas sign. I would say something that people didn't bring up. If you've ever done anything with a busker, you probably don't want to do it again.
Probably.
You know, got
That's
your
a safe
picture
bet.
taken with the fake cobs or whatever it is that you're doing. Once is probably enough for those.
Yep. So that was a lot of fun talking about that stuff, Josh. When we come back from break, we're going to answer your listener questions and more. So stick around. Okay, here we are, Josh. It's officially October 27th.
Ish.
We are one-ish, depending on when you listen to this.
Right.
We are 1 week away from Zorkfest 2024. Everybody is now at the peak of excitement. They all have their tickets. Hopefully, they're ready to go. They got Dice Labs and influencers and sponsored
Seminars.
alcohol, so many things.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun. We don't need to dwell on it too much, except to say thank you to Michael Traeger and the team at Travel Zork Travel for sponsoring the podcast and allowing me to be at Zorkfest. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you don't have a ticket, if you want to go, there are still tickets available. It's going to be a great time. We haven't even mentioned lately, Mark and Dr. Mike are going to be at the Podcasters After Dark panel as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Our
That's a
old
reason to go
buddies-
all by itself.
Exactly. And I don't mean old buddies that way, but our old friends from You Can Bet on That. And it's going to be a lot of fun. That was my favorite part of Zorkfest last year, and I expect it to be fantastic this year. All the seminars and presentations will be great as well. The Dice Lab is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be all sorts of, I think the best part of Zorkfest are just the extracurricular mingling and activities that happen. People are going to group up
Yeah.
and do dinners and all that kind of thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, most of you, if you're going, probably already have your tickets. But if you want to join us, I know there's room. It's going to be a great time. And again, the team at Travel Zork Travel is fantastic for all your travel needs. If you want to really take a trip that is over and above something you've ever done before, Michael and his team are fantastic at setting those kind of trips up, in particular, making something really extra special.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Josh, what do you think about this? So you have Mark and Dr. Mike are going to be there, which is absolutely amazing. And then you also have Adam Bauer there, though.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of the opposite of amazing. So at the end of the day, do you still think the Podcasters After Dark influencers thing is going to be good? Or will Adam drag the whole thing down so that it's just completely unlistenable?
I think it's going to depend on the other panelists as well. I mean, you have, and I'm going to forget some, but you've got Karen from 360 Vegas,
Who's terrific, yeah.
who's terrific. You're going to have Sonia from the It's Vegas Y'all podcast and Danny from that podcast moderating. So I think, Chris, it's going to depend. I mean, Adam's going to bring it down for sure. Mark
Sure.
and Dr. Mike are going to raise it up. So it's really those of us in the middle will determine how it goes. And of course, if the audience and how drunk everybody is.
Yeah, that's going to help a lot. Anytime Adam's there, you better get some alcohol. So we'll see how it goes, Josh. I'm really excited for you. I'm sure you're going to have a terrific time. Again, that's November 1st through 3rd. It's at Horseshoe Las Vegas. Get those tickets today if you haven't yet. TravelZork.com/Zorkfest. ZORKFEST. Okay, listener question time. We got a question from Jeremy, Josh. Jeremy said, hello, sorry for the newbie type questions. If I'm playing craps at a $25 table, should I put a minimum $30 on the 6 and 8 for best payout or just put 25?
Well, Chris, I'm going to need you to answer this question for me for Craps Lab at Zorkfest. So,
Lovely.
But yes, Jeremy, the answer is you should put 30 to make a correct payout. But Chris, what would happen if you place 25 versus 30?
Okay, so you wouldn't want to do it because it's an improper payout because 6s and 8s pay $6. Well, they pay $7 for every 6 that you have out there. So if you had a $25 bet, Josh, that would be 4 sets of $6 bets. So you get an extra $4. 25 would pay 29, but they would tell you bet 30 because you'll get 36. So that would be the better move there. But you see people on $25 tables betting $25 6 and 8s all the time. Usually if it hits at some point, they'll ask, do you want to make it proper?
Right.
And then they'll make it proper for you with the payout, but you don't have to if you don't want to. At the end of the day, I really feel like we make a too big of a deal on these things, Josh.
I agree.
Because that bet, you're only losing $1. It's the same thing when you have a 5 and 9 as the point and you're putting odds behind it and they say, make it even.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal. You're only losing $1.
Right.
And yes, I understand there's somebody like Boring Jack that's going to say, Chris, that's ridiculous.
That's a big
it makes
difference
a huge
in House
difference.
Edge, yes.
And it does. It is a huge difference. But look, worst case scenario, if you make an improper bet on the table, you're losing $1. So don't sweat it too terribly much.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jeremy. And dealers, it's interesting, Chris. Some dealers will try and point it out and be more assertive and trying to get you to make it 30. Some dealers will just say, hey, you just play the way you want to play. I'm not even going to mention it.
Absolutely. He had a follow-up question, Josh. He said at a $25 table, can he still put $1 on the hard ways, assuming he has a pass line bet out?
It's a yes and no. I think most places, yes, but some places do limit their hard ways to $5 minimums. So it depends on the house. It just depends where you're playing.
Absolutely. And they don't care about the pass line portion of that. You can still make hard way bets without a pass line.
Yep. Not the case, though, always with an all-tall small. Sometimes you do have to have a pass line bet to play the all-tall small, but most of the time you can play the hard ways without anything.
Yep, you will find a lot of places that do that. Question from our new patron, Dominic, Josh. He said, hey guys, just found your show a couple weeks ago and playing catch up from the beginning. It's been really interesting to hear how your thoughts have changed on certain properties, play styles, etc. over time. My internal reflection questions for you, he says. Question 1. What do you miss the most from gambling 15 years ago versus gambling today?
Well, great question, Dominic. Thanks for finding the show. Thanks for going back and listening. I think we sound a little different. Not only has our play changed, but I think we sound a little different than we did way back then.
We're just old men now, Josh.
Yeah. So 15 years ago, I mean, it kind of goes without saying, more limited bankroll, that kind of thing. But what do I miss? I miss not caring as much about comps and about where I played and all that kind of stuff that goes with playing at a higher level and getting the stuff that we get and that kind of thing. It was so fun just to go with whatever my bankroll was, $250. I recognize that has changed and it's, it has to be higher now probably, but just to be able to go where I wanted to go, eat where I wanted to eat, hang out with my friends wherever they wanted to hang out without feeling like I was tied to a place.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Josh. That's exactly what I was going to say. I miss just the low pressure trips that I used to have at that age where I'd go, I'd have a good time. I'd take Caesars up on their free room and $50 a free play offer and be really excited about that. And I didn't care how much I played at the end of the day, or did I play slots versus tables, or did I just walk around the city and didn't matter where I ate. It was so much more freeing back then. And it's something that I've even talked to you about a lot recently, where I would love to take another one of those trips again sometime. And then what inevitably happens is I say, okay, let's do this trip as a laid back Caesars trip where it doesn't matter. And then things get closer and we're like, well, why would we stay at Caesars when we can go stay, at Wynn or stay at Aria or Venetian Palazzo? And we just always end up kicking the idea. And Josh is always right on board with me. He's like, that sounds like a great idea. I love to do it. And we just don't do it.
And the other thing, and I'm with you on that 100%, Chris, but the other thing, I think even if we did end up at a Red Rock or something like that, I think our instincts to play to a certain level to get the benefits that we would want in the future would still kick in. Like, I think even if we had we're motivated to try and play lower and not care, I think that it's just kind of ingrained into us now that we would care.
I think what we would have to do, Josh, is it has to be at Caesars because there's no place that I care less about.
Right.
And second, I think we would have to say in advance, we're bringing X dollars in cash and that's it.
That's it. I think that's actually a good idea.
I think that, which is a good idea for all gamblers in general. That's obviously not how we operate because we typically we never play on cash. But I think that would be the way to go, Josh. We would just have to say in advance, hey, look, our trip, our bankroll is $2,500. That's what we're doing. When it's gone, it's gone.
We got to make it last, right?
And we got to make it last. And I think we'd have to have each other there to push us in that direction so that we didn't make poor choices.
We're going to be playing quarter video poker by the end of the trip.
Exactly. Second question, he said, what topic, property, game, etc. do you think your opinion has changed the most on over the past couple years?
I think as I've become more of a slot player, I think I never thought of myself as a slot player.
Okay.
And then my evolution has definitely changed from playing $1 or $2 a spin to $20 or $30 a spin. So that's a big switch. And I think that's what's changed the most is becoming, obviously I'm playing craps at a higher level, but I was a craps player before. I played all the I played all the numbers, I played across. So that hasn't changed much other than just bankroll, but a much greater percentage of my time is playing slots now, I think.
Okay. This one was easy for me, Josh, when I thought about it for a second. The answer is craps. Because if Chris 3 to 5 years ago, craps was a dumb game that I did not really understand. I'd play it every once in a while, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, I don't understand. Because like my personality type is somebody that prefers to be alone and quiet games. I don't like the screaming and all that stuff. So I was like, why would I ever like craps? And then Josh started getting me hooked on it, started playing more and more. And now looking back, there is no game that I like anywhere near as much as I like playing craps. Blackjack seems horribly boring to me now, even though that's what I used to live off of. Yeah, I don't think I could ever go back, Josh. The game is just so addicting. The rush that you get on a craps table, the excitement, the camaraderie, that cannot be matched at any other game in the casino.
Agreed.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree. Now I'm gonna try and play some Baccarat when we go down for Zorkfest. So we'll see. Maybe I'll become, maybe that'll be the biggest change.
That is a topic in a game that will never change for me. I think that is the dumbest game in history. I don't understand why people like it. It takes zero skill, zero thought. You just stand there and they say, you win, you lose, you win, you lose.
You have to be player or
handle
banker.
A game like that. I can't do it. That there's not enough excitement there for me. I don't care how many tiger bonuses you throw in or whatever it is they talk about. I have zero interest in that game. Okay, final question, Josh. Is there a place you haven't gambled yet that you're still excited to visit?
Well, for me, the first thing, two, jokingly, not jokingly, but joking from what I said earlier, Green Valley Ranch. I've heard so many good things about Green Valley Ranch that I do want to try that. I also want to try Durango. What about you?
I wasn't thinking specific to Vegas by any means when he asked this question because
you were thinking that. No.
So for me, the thought that I had in my head is Monte Carlo. And that's what we've talked about a lot as a place that we were going to go to together and experience that. European gambling is completely different than American gambling, and it actually caters to the mindset that I prefer when I'm gambling. So I think that would be a ton of fun. And if you're talking about in the States, a Blackhawk, that would be my one I want to get to pretty soon. I think that would be my domestic choice.
Well, if we're expanding beyond Vegas, and I could see that question being either way for sure. It would be, I mentioned it before, I want to go to Atlantic City. I haven't done Atlantic City. Blackhawk for sure.
City's fun.
Yeah. Monte Carlo would be great fun abroad. What about Vegas? Any properties you would like to play that we haven't played, that you haven't played?
No, because if I really wanted to, I would have by now.
All right. Fair enough.
There's nothing stopping me, so I can't think of any place in Vegas. It does hurt my feelings a little bit, Josh, that you didn't say Belterra Casino down here, because that would mean you get to come play with me locally.
Oh, that's on my bucket list. Not my anti-bucket list. That's on my bucket list.
Josh, I've gone to Diamond Joe just to see Dr. Mike up in Iowa. I feel like you could come to me in Kentucky.
It'll happen. You got to come out to me first too, though.
Well, we've been talking about that. It's just been hard to figure out, but we'll make it work. Final question of the week, Josh. We got an email from Sarah. She said, my fiance and I are traveling to Vegas, both for our first time, and it's going to be over New Year's weekend. We have a reasonable but not huge budget. If you can only give one recommendation for each, which hotel, restaurant, and show would you recommend for that trip? Love your show and so glad you guys are jumping on the slot train. Choo choo, Sarah.
Well, thanks, Sarah. And I'm gonna take the fact that it's New Year's out a little bit because I don't know what that's gonna do for rates of rooms and restaurants.
Yeah, I don't think you can factor that in too much.
Yeah. I mean, depending on your budget, you said reasonable but not huge. I mean, if you can do someplace that has a view of the fountains, I think that's a great place for a first-time visitor to go. I mean, now you can stay at the Versailles rooms at Paris. You can do Cosmo. You could do Bellagio itself, depending on budgets, especially if you really are talking New Year's. If you could get a view of the fountains on New Year's, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's what I would say for a hotel. What about you for a hotel, Chris?
Hotel, Planet Hollywood. And it kind of checks some of the boxes you were just mentioning, Josh. I'd say a North Tower, Planet Hollywood strip-facing room, so you have a view. It's one of the cheaper rooms that you can get that face the fountains. So I'm a big fan of that place in general. I think it'd be a great place for a first trip to go together. I think it's got an awesome vibe. It caters to younger people. Plenty of casual dining that you can eat cheaply. You got the Miracle Mile shops right outside you. What else could you possibly want?
As far as restaurants, again, it's a little bit for first time, I'm thinking so much more about the experience than I am the food itself. So, I mean, if you want if you're going to go kind of upscale steak, prime at Bellagio, because the view again is a great idea. You've got Mon Ami Gabi.
That's what I was going to say.
If you want like Beauty in Essex or Scarpetta at Cosmo, kind of that idea. But I think sticking around for restaurants too, sticking around the center strip idea.
Yeah, I'm good with that. What about a show, Josh, if you could just pick one?
Well, not Awakening. I think,
imagine that.
I think, and we've talked about it before, but I actually think Zombie Burlesque might be a really fun first Las Vegas show. Absinthe, but you can't go wrong with like, a Cirque du Soleil O either. I mean, as a classic kind of Vegas O would be terrific.
Yeah, I feel like I just have to say Absinthe here. It is the quintessential Vegas show. It's not my favorite show anymore, even though I've seen it at least 10 times at this point. I love that show, and I've actually even told Josh we need to go see it together again soon, because when was the last time we saw it, Josh?
Well, it's
been a couple years ago?
Yeah, a couple of years for sure now.
Oh, that's right. Remember we got a front row table when we went, and we had to switch back.
That's right. With the lady who left, whose partner left in the middle, or did she leave in the middle? What happened?
Oh, yeah, it was a whole thing. I got to go back and listen to that episode. I forgot all about that. But yeah, I think Absinthe is the number one show. If you're only going to see one, that's the one to see.
But don't do the very front table.
No, don't do that. Especially if you're just two guys coming together. Just don't. Stay away from it.
Well, this is Sarah and her fiance, right?
So that's much better.
They're probably okay. They could do the front table.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
So thank you for all your questions this week, guys. We appreciate it, and let's keep it rolling. Patreon. That's patreon.com/crapvegas. Josh, what's new over there?
We got a couple different things. We did our weekly FCV Fading Crap Vegas show where Chris and I pick 10 college and pro games and make picks against the spread. We actually have a lot of fun and spend a lot of time on those. Not saying we're any good at it and you should wager real money, but we try and make the shows fun, and maybe you get some information that helps you in your sports betting as well out of that. But so we do those once a week over on Patreon. So we did our last one. Actually, we recorded it just before we recorded this here show today, and that will have already dropped for our patrons by the time this show is released. And then we also we alternate our regular show, this show, with our CVP shows over on Patreon. So you'll get a show once a week if you're a patron. This last one, I was picked to be a guest on the It's Vegas Y'all podcast. And so they had some great questions for me. You should check out It's Vegas Y'all if you want another Vegas podcast. This one's by Texans for Texans. So I had to put on a Texas accent. No, I didn't. I just, pretend I threw a couple of y'alls in there and all y'alls and things like that. But
nice.
They asked me some great questions. They had some great questions for everybody, but some questions specifically to me. And I thought it would be fun on the Patreon show this week for me to ask Chris those questions. So I asked Chris all the questions that they asked me on It's Vegas Y'all.
Yeah, you're such a great interviewer. Josh, I will say the Patreon Survivor Challenge, kind of forgot about it a little bit. So I checked in because I've been out for a while. I did not last very long. I don't know about you, but I did not stick around well. We started with 114 entries. We still have 10 left after week 7. We had 10 left after week 5.
Oh.
But I will say that I think there's only 4 people left that haven't used your mulligan, and you can't use the mulligan after week 9 of the NFL games. So we're starting to get to the point where
rule, Chris.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Josh. That's just how they do it over there. But it feels like people are going to start dropping off like flies pretty soon. So I can't wait to see what happens. There's about $400 in prizes we're giving away to people, depending on how they did in that. So that'll be really excited to see. And one other thing, Josh, we've only got about, I don't know, I didn't count them all exactly, but it's probably about 20,000 messages asking about the CV bracket challenge, the property bracket challenge. We haven't forgot about it. We just had some logistical issues getting people lined up to keep that thing moving. But Josh and I do have an idea. We are going to get it finished, and it will be done before the end of the year. So be on the lookout for that.
Holy
but
cow, I thought you were going to say 2025 for sure.
Oh, I'm really pushing us here, aren't I? But big special thank you to everybody that signed up over the past couple weeks for Patreon. That's Bam Bam, T Swizzle, Dominic B, Sarah A, Michael R, and Mia B. So thank you to you guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. And so no Pebbles. We had Bam Bam, but no Pebbles.
I guess so. Maybe Pebbles is joining next week, Josh.
And is this Dominic? Is this Dominic the one that asked the question earlier? Same
It
Dominic?
is. And do you think we have moved safely past the letters? Because remember, there was a period there on Patreon where we were getting like the letter A, the letter F. I haven't seen one of those in a while.
We haven't
so
had
I
one
think
of those in a while.
Sesame Street is all wrapped up. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
So thanks to everybody for joining us over on Patreon. We put a lot of work into it and make it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. So we hope you join us over there and support the show that way.
Absolutely. Upcoming trips, Josh, F1 weekend. It feels like it's almost here. You and I will be at F1. We have tickets to the race. We're in the Sphere grandstands. We got food and beverage. We're staying at Palazzo. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Some of our other listeners I know Boondocks in particular and more are over on the MGM side. So we're going to wave from our grandstands to their grandstands to each other as the cars go whizzing by. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chris and I were kind of hesitant a little bit about this as an adventure, but we thought, why not? We're getting, get the tickets. Let's just do it. And so we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then, Josh, I also know we're going to try to get out there one more time before the end of the year, potentially, but no dates are really set at this point. So we're not sure what December is going to look like yet.
Yep. And of course, I'll also be there a week from when this show drops at Zorkfest, which we mentioned earlier, but I'll be there then too.
Okay. Friendly reminder, subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app and visit our merch store over at crapvegas.com/shop. We also have some stock of CV tumblers that we really need to clear out because they're taking up some space in my basement that I would like to recapture. So I have dropped the price on our CV tumblers down to $10 a piece. Or if you place any order over the next few weeks, I will throw in a CV tumbler, maybe even 2 for free.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. So, Chris, what have we got for shirts? What are shirts that we still have left?
It's limited sizes in certain things, Josh. The Vegas Duffy t-shirt always comes and goes pretty randomly. I'll run out of a size and have to reorder, and it takes a while. But you still got all the fan favorites. The Vegas Duffy Heart 8 for a Nickel shirt is there. The I'm Risking Divorce shirt that everybody really likes. I've seen it in the wild a couple times. It always cracks me up. That shirt's still there. We have the Big Dice Energy shirt that is fairly new. People really like that one. It's green. It's got our logo. It's pretty cool. It's a little pun on something else going on out there. Yeah, we got a handful of stuff over there that you're welcome to check out. And the hoodies, people always ask. Right now, all hoodie sizes are in stock, but that typically lasts for about a week or two. And then I have to start emailing you and saying, sorry, I'm out of large and extra large. I don't know why. That's just the 2 sizes we always run out of. I order more and they never come in
People
quick
like
enough.
Bigger sweatshirts. They like
but you know what?
sweatshirts.
Fall is, yeah, that's true. Fall is here, Josh. They are a little oversized. Keep that in mind. Fall is here. So if you want one of those sweatshirts, now's a great time to grab one. Okay, Josh, big wheel time. Let's do it.
All right, let's spin the wheel.
It's time to spin the Crap Vegas Big Wheel. Are you ready?
You ready?
Oh, I'm
Josh,
super ready.
spin the wheel.
Oh, Chris, did you see the story about the guy who, what did he do? He bet on a golf tournament in 2023, bet on a golfer, and ended up winning $40,000, but he didn't win $40,000. Did you see this story?
How does that happen?
So the gambler said he placed a $200 bet at plus 20,000 odds. So what does that mean?
Okay.
What's plus 20,000 odds mean?
So for every 100 you bet, you're getting 20,000.
Okay, gotcha. So 200 would be 40. That's how I got the 40.
Yes.
Okay, so you're a sports bettor much more than I am. You know this stuff. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
was for a Spanish golfer, and this is the first round of the 2023 tournament in Australia.
Okay.
And so he bet $200 at 20,000 odds, which paid him $40,000 because this gambler won $40,200.
Okay.
And this golfer was ranked 281st in the world rankings, and he finished the tournament in 7th place, but was first after the first round.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm following.
Okay. So all of a sudden, he had this money in his account, and his winnings dropped to $1,000.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
Yeah. Apparently, he was told there was an error in posting the odds and substituted his winning ticket with a ticket reflecting, and this is William Hill, is the sports book. They substituted his ticket with a ticket reflecting the correct odds of plus 400. That gave him about $1,000 as a winning. Yeah. He's requested a hearing before the Nevada Control Board, and they're going to hear both sides. William Hill said the company said it would not cancel the initial wager because of the obvious error in setting the odds, and that William Hill's house rules enable it to make those changes in the event of a mistake. So that's what they've said, is they can correct their mistake, and this was an obvious error. They would never have posted plus 20,000 odds for this bet.
See, Josh, you hear about this sort of thing a lot. It's not uncommon. These books say that they made an error in pricing and they'll adjust it on the fly. Here's my thing that's a little bit different about this one. They put the bet out there, the bet settled, and they settled the funds into his account. And it sounds like they tried to make a change days later. Usually when there's a pricing error, it gets caught pretty quick, and they either void the bet or adjust the bet to the proper amount while the event's still going on. And then that usually starts a fight, but it happens pretty quick. I would say if this is me and my bet wins of that kind of size, I'm hitting the cash out button within about 10 seconds after that bet settles. And I don't know if he had a paper ticket or what.
Well, he said his winnings.
But he said it settled into his account. So I'm thinking this is an electronic. I would have settled that out immediately and transferred the funds. But no, hey, if you're asking me, like the court of Chris comes into play here, if the bet settles and it goes into your account and it's been days, you're done. You don't have a chance to adjust this anymore.
As I'm looking at the story, it was to win the first round was the bet, which is he was ahead in the first round. So to your point, there was the rest of the tournament for them to figure it out. But then he said that $40,000 sat in his gambling portfolio, which I assume means his digital account, for 5 days before they switched it over without telling anything, without notification of the lower payout.
Yeah, see, that's ridiculous. When that kind of time passes, no, I think you're giving up all rights to make an adjustment at that point. I mean, what is to say, Josh, that you bet on something today,
right,
and the funds settle into your account, and maybe it's not this extreme of a financial example, but 6 months from now, all of a sudden you go into your account, you thought you had $3,000 in there, and now you have $200, and they say, well, we adjusted it, we made an error 2.5 months ago. I mean, it's extreme to use that as an example, but if there's no timing and rules upon when these adjustments can be made, theoretically it's open-ended forever, and that's not cool.
Yeah, I mean, I might expect it for some offshore operation, but, William Hill's pretty mainstream.
William Hill's not an offshore operation.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what the Gaming Control Board says. I mean, I'm guessing they're going to side with William Hill on this, but...
I would think so too, but, I mean, I hate that, though. I don't think that's right. But anyways, what else we got?
All right, one more here. Let's see. See what comes up on it.
Ooh, spooky. Halloween is coming.
You'd think that's why this came up on the wheel.
You would think so.
Should I stop the werewolves at some point?
I got places to be, Josh, so let's keep this moving.
All right, Chris, I was thinking about when this episode will drop and the fact that Halloween is coming. Have you ever done Halloween in Vegas?
I have not.
I've been there for Halloween. I wouldn't say I really did Halloween in Vegas. I mean, it's me, And
you didn't walk around trick-or-treating to all the random crap stables?
But I'll tell you, the people watching was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Other than like EDC in Vegas, I think the people watching at Halloween is fantastic. So I was looking at, there's going to be like parties all over the place. I was looking, there's going to be a party at Area 15. Let's see, the barber shop at Cosmo is having a Halloween party. Dre's is having one at 10:30 at night on Halloween.
Okay.
I want to know if any of our listeners go to any of these Halloween parties in Vegas. Let us know because I'm curious. Liv is having one over at Fontainebleau. Mob Museum is having one. There's one at Zook. We could go to Zook to the Halloween party at Zook.
I think I'd go to Dre's before Zook.
I don't know. Zook is,
that's
me, the mothership.
It is, but you know me. I love my hip hop music, so there is no place I'd rather be than going over to Dre's.
That's right. Some things never die.
No, and I think culturally, I probably fit in best at Dre's.
Oh, sure. Without question.
Yeah. Anything else on the wheel this week, Josh?
No, that's it for the wheel.
Okay, so this has been a lot of fun, guys. I really enjoyed it. You have anything else before we get out of here?
No, I don't have anything at all. I'm off
Perfect.
to Zorkfest. See everybody there.
This has been a spooky edition of Crap Vegas. Thank you for listening.
It's the wolf from what's the Huff
is
and
that
Even
what
More
it is?
Puff. Yeah.
Huff and Puff.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vegas, here we come.
Thanks for listening to the Crap Vegas podcast.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Check out all our recent news and our Vegas trip calendar by visiting crapvegas.com.
See you in Vegas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 66 of the Crap Vegas podcast. I am Chris. He's Josh. Josh, 606 episodes from now, we're going to have a really good number.
What number is that?
No, what am I thinking? 606. Look at me. I don't know. I was just looking at my screen. I was like, what am I even going to say? I don't know. Okay, maybe 600 episodes from now? I don't know. 212 episodes from now. What are your thoughts on that place?
I have no thoughts.
Perfect. Just got to crash this then.
No thoughts on the dead grill.
It's like, what am I trying to say here? I don't know.
I don't know.
Computer, how many entries are there for Darmok?
47.